So I think we're ready.
Cool.
Hello.
Hello. Well, this is Juan Dominguez. Rojo, Juan Dominguez Rojo, because my mother likes, in Spain, the second family name is also welcome. So
yes.
Juan Dominguez Rojo.
Yeah.
And I'm a performer, choreographer, curator, and I'm since 10 years curating the festival In-presentables. And since 3 years, co-curating a festival called Living Room Festival.
Great. And you are right now?
Both developed in Madrid.
In Madrid.
The city of Madrid, yeah.
Okay, where you are right now?
In Madrid, also.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. I think it's, we have tried to do these interviews before, and I've been following In-presentables for a while, practically in the last 2 years. And so tell me about the context now of, if you can take us a little bit with the history, a little bit of the history of In-presentables and this very special occasion that we have this year that I think is exciting and at the same time a little bit sad. I don't know about this kind of a 10-year, last one I've been hearing, and also 100 dancers, choreographers, a lot. So take us through this context.
Well, 10 years ago, in Madrid, there was a little bit of emptiness in the context of choreography, research, experimental choreography. We can call it like that. Terminology is always tricky. So,
yeah. Well, formerly known as.
yeah. So, and then there was before a couple of festivals very important, like Situaciones and Desviaciones, that were directed by Blanca Calvo and Larry Bott. And this last 4 or 5 years, the Festival Desviaciones, and it was really a strong attempt of investing in Spanish choreographers, but also in the international level. So they wanted to create a context. They were more in the reivindication of some rights that we thought we had. And then it was a strong effort in relation economically speaking, no? Because institutions didn't support so well. So it was a lot of suffering, but they did an amazing job. And suddenly they decided to stop because Larry Bott went to London, Blanca Calvo went to San Sebastian, and then to Belgium.
Yeah.
So there was like an exodus suddenly from Madrid for some choreographers. I left to New York. Olga Mesa left to France. So there was a little bit of emptiness because this fight was so, in the end, so strong and so tiring that many people decided to leave for a while, no?
Yeah.
Where they could get support. And then after 2 years, I arrived to Madrid, back to Madrid, and then there was this new house from a bank, from Bankia. It's Obra Social from this bank. And it's, they support like solidarity, environment, culture, and education. And within the culture department is performing arts.
Yeah.
And in this house, they have many houses, but they have one house where they have gallery spaces, they have a backyard that they transform into a theater, and there is like a lot of activities mixed, no? So I arrived there with my DVD, a solo I did in 2002. And then I asked the coordinator of performing arts, Laura, was working there in that moment. I asked her if she would be interested in presenting this piece because in the rest of Madrid there was not really like this empathy to this kind of work, no?
Yeah.
And then she was like super open. They just opened the house. She really liked the work, and she asked me to build a week with other works in relation to my work, no? Like not to present myself alone because maybe it would be out of context, but to build a small context. And she asked Jaime Conde Salazar, a theoretician, to parallel contextualize with discourse the practice that I was presenting. And this was the beginning, 10 years ago.
Wow.
So it was a little bit successful.
And you have the same name? You had the same name? No?
This first edition, we didn't know that it will become a festival.
Yeah.
So it was called Procesos Coreográficos.
Okay.
So more based, because the idea was more to base the whole week in sharing with the audience methodologies, pieces that already work with the process of the work as a result. well, this kind of old-fashioned now process, work in progress, blah blah blah, that we know so well.
Yeah.
But here in Madrid was important, and at the beginning, people were used more to negotiate with results only, and to consume really a very well formalized or not so well formalized pieces, dance pieces. So this was really like a change for Madrid. And then, it was successful in that way. And then we decided, okay, then let's do one more year, but let's put it a name in case that we do more years.
Yeah.
And in the end, it lasts 10 years.
Wow. And there's always kind of that notion that it was not presentable, that the work was not complete, or it had this thing, or the audience was not ready, what the context was not ready.
Or was out of the market.
Yeah.
Because many of the artists that I presented, international artists, they are well known in Europe.
Yeah.
And they are in the market in Europe. But here, nobody was inviting them because they are kind of too North Europe.
Yes. Yeah. So and of course,
for Madrid.
Yeah, and of course that takes us to probably a big jump, but like at the same time it's like what you talk about the word of experimental choreography or experimental performance, and so we can jump a little bit to what is going to be then In-presentables this year, and then if you can elaborate with a little bit with the experience of because now we're in the weird paradox of these artists that were in the periphery, perhaps are in some kind of center, and that center is going now to a total precariousness that we don't know what's going to happen. So you can talk a little bit about that, about this year, and then we can discuss some ideas of the development.
Well, this year I finished the festival in this 10th edition because for me it didn't make sense to continue doing this format of festival. For me it's very important, mostly in Madrid. In other places I think also is a big problem, but here in Madrid, clearly, there is no continuity, There is like this moment of celebration once a year. These people come, show up and do all the experiments, share with a lot of generosity all of what they know and the concerns they have in that moment, and then it disappears the rest of the year. So for me, this doesn't make sense to bring people during 10 days once a year. So for me, there is a need, very strong need of a laboratory during the whole year where you can exchange, where local artists are constantly working during the whole year, and you can invite people to exchange ideas, to contaminate each other, to really work, because otherwise, after the festival, it's like everybody disappears. It's a lot of dispersion,
Yeah.
And in Madrid, it's very individualist, and market and life push everybody to be very individual.
And with a crisis, the first symptom of the crisis is this withdrawing and perhaps reconnect later, but.
Yeah, but this is now. But in Madrid, is always. It was always like that.
Oh,
It's very individualist. It is very expensive. There is no connections. It's very difficult to meet people and to collaborate and work together.
Yeah.
So that's why for me it doesn't make sense to continue something that for me is not working.
Yeah.
I mean it works during 10 years, and this last year I would not have done. Otherwise, it's the 10th anniversary, the last one, and I can invite all these people to. Elaborate a meeting for discourse.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit of this because I was really impressed when I heard like the proposal. It was like, and I actually, because it's a lot of people, I have found a lot of people who say, yes, I'm going to Madrid. We're going to be in this 100 dancers, etc. So tell us a little bit more about that.
I'm moving. Sorry.
That's good.
Because there are people picking upstairs.
No, that's great. Yeah.
The 100. Well, the 100 is a crazy idea. It was an encounter. It's like thought as an encounter. It's also like a symbolic number because it's a lot, but it's only a kind of representation of a very big community.
Yeah.
If we can say that we belong to a community.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think there is a community, even if there is a lot of differences between the choreographers in this community.
Yeah.
And this is a representation, a small representation, but of course, for a festival, 100 artists working in the morning and showing, everybody showing stuff in the afternoon, evening, is crazy. It's a lot. It's like a marathon.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of activities simultaneously, so the audience cannot attend to everything.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, wow, this is kind of the deployment of the impossibility actually that we're living. You know.
Yeah, but the idea I think is nice. It's simple. It's nice, but it's like, okay, this last year I invite artists, but not the work of the artist. So the artist decides what to do. I don't decide as a curator.
Okay.
And also
That's
the
great.
spectator is the same. You have like a spectrum of things, and then you have to draw a line, like to do your own curator during the festival.
Yeah.
Which usually happen always in every festival, because you decide what to see.
Yeah.
But here clearly, as you cannot attend to everything, you have to decide.
Yeah.
So you will do your line, like the artists will do their lines.
Yeah.
So I'm not responsible of that.
Yes, well, very good. And there is also so like how you selected the artists, because it's a question, because I always, one of the things that I have felt is that there is also the questioning of the formats in itself, that of course in this year has this deployment with a lot of things going on at the same time, and it's 100, it's massive, but at the same time other years you have experimented with different formats, and practically in my perspective you are also, your research as an organizer, as a cultural worker, is trying to understand what is this thing that we keep calling a festival, but it may be just a social encounter or a fancy hanging out with some things that we do, and we call it, the performativity implies that this is what we do, dance or choreography, but there is a discursive aspect and a dialogue aspect that I have felt that is important in your approach.
Well, basically, for me, it was always very important that the concept of a festival could be flexible.
Okay.
To don't train spectators to perceive always the same, and then to have expectations about, okay, let's go for what we know. So if the artists have a different perspective the next year, then I try to change as much as possible. Although the concept of festival is really hard to change, to flexibilize, because there is a history, and artists. Sorry, I'm saying goodbye to 11. It's very difficult to change this concept, So you can only do it if it's really radical, the change you propose to the audience. And twice already I did it. For example, I invite a group of artists that were before. Excuse me. They're recording.
For the TV. Very mainstream.
So yeah, I was telling you this year with 6 Mil, that was a project that was in the choreographic center of Montpellier. Marlon was the director. Xavier Leroy was directing the students, the education program for 2 years. And then one of the years we were like professionals and students together for 6 months. And after these 6 months, I invite this project to the festival. But before, we met for 1 month preparing the festival all together.
Wow.
So of course it was like a group of, 16 people, I think it was. 16 people thinking together, preparing together to share with the local community in Madrid. And this was for me excellent. Sense of thinking in a festival.
Yeah.
This year is also it's a crazy idea. It's like have a celebration of connotation maybe, but it's also like that. It's like, okay, think what you want to do in this context with this community.
Yeah.
So everybody is thinking about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be possible.
Yeah.
Conceptually, I think it's strong.
Yeah.
Another year, in a more conventional way, what you do is to invite pieces, but you try that the artists stay in the city and share with the local artists and with the spectators another kind of formats.
Yeah.
And also I invite artists from abroad or mature artists to work with young local artists to do a piece, for example. This we do every year. So there are different strategies that are not really thinking in what is successful in the market right now.
Yeah, yeah, and like of course, you have a name, that big word, all right, the market, and that is with us all the time, right? And it's not an abstraction actually, and but it's part of this exchange. It's part of the some kind of tokens that we exchange in society. So how do you see that? In this context, with the actual situation with Spain's going with the crisis and the world in general, how do you place the festival? And I am in Berlin, and of course there is a lot of discourse with the Biennale here about art for social change and not just for this alienated artists that are not aware of what's going on, blah blah blah. So how do you place yourself as a cultural worker, as a curator, in some kind of purpose with this investment? Because it's an investment, there is actually an investment there.
Yeah, of course.
From everybody.
Right now, the situation is very tricky because, for example, the bank that found the festival is now rescued by the government.
Wow,
and there is a lot of critics here. There is a gossip. I mean, like a ghost of maybe they are going to close the house.
I even heard about it. Yeah.
It's in the news, newspapers. And there is a lot of paranoia of what the crisis is doing. And I think for me, it's funny that just I finished this year when this crisis is in Spain, like the worst ever.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it because of the crisis.
Okay.
I did because our artistic crisis. Because the market is kind of sustaining formats that are not so useful anymore. So either we play with the market, and we try to be in the market, but all the time pushing another kind of behavior within this market. And we have to try hard because market is eating with no, it's like it's too strong for the artist to be against. So either you are within and then you play with it as much as you can.
And develop your audience.
Exactly. And propose with a lot of generosity changes all the time. In the moment you become affirming or conservative, you will be market as by definition. So nothing will happen anymore, But I think within the market you have to be constantly proposing new stuff and constantly playing in the limits, to make this market move, not to disappear because this is impossible from the artistic point of view. But I think you can affect markets by constantly proposing.
And of course in the same and this has a kind of almost commonplace question that is, what do you think is the role of the artist now? And just to kind of wrap around that idea of some kind of purpose or how to be in the margin.
Well, right now, for example, for this last edition of In-presentables, the last day we are going to place this project called Black Market. I don't know.
Yes. The Black Market of Knowledge or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then of course I propose the term radicality as a term for this Black Market edition or number, and it was a big move a lot the people to talk because radicality is not anymore understood as it was. It's instrumentalized white market, capitalized. It's like even in a fashion magazine. They ask you to for a radical proposal.
Yes.
So if fashion is already this as a normal terminology, then it's very difficult to relate with this term in a political way. No? But then also it's true that for me it was interesting to listen all the discourses around from these 100 people. But in the end, I'm thinking that because we were also thinking about the relation with politics and also activists and other fields that are closer to politics, no? Because you can be political with your work in choreography, but it's not at all the same stuff that an activist would draw for a specific subject or context and will manifest or do an action in relation to that. We work in another way. And I think talking to Martin Spamber today, he was telling me that I think it's important that we keep going, doing what we do, which is to define that art is another field and propose something else than politics. Although can be completely related to politics, but it's another field, another language, we produce another kind of experience and knowledge. And we have to reivindicate this a lot, no? And not to try to be suddenly political or to manifest more in Madrid, where everybody's manifesting, everybody's demonstrating in the streets since 1 year, no? So what can art do in this demonstration?
In this kind of pervasive performance of discontent and and radicality in a way, but it can become a habit, But
and to do a manifesto right now, what is to do a manifesto if you listen everybody doing manifestos every day? So maybe right now is I think the link has to be very strong with what is going on, but it has to be also very radical and strong to affirm art again. Performing arts, we have to even go further with it. But of course, thinking more. It's never enough. So this meeting of In-presentables, this 100 is for that. What else? What happened now? This is not useful anymore. What we can do all together, Maybe individually you carry on doing your small job, work, But together, what we can do.
So one of the things that is intriguing for me right now is that it's something that I am observing is that a lot of the even in the choreography, the much more experimental, and also in performance art, and I see it in myself, practically I in the labor part, I think that my work is becoming 99% as a context designer of an experience of sharing more than that thing that we understood as choreographic practice, So, and of course, choreography has certain. I like the work and a lot of the new meanings that it can have, but practically it's a designer's a performance with very specific architecture about sharing, about having the experience together, and that's it. And that it means that we may not do this again, and it's actually not repeatable. And we have that awareness now, and sometimes I feel like, well, those people we call ourselves artists, we kind of circulate in those moments between those moments of sharing to share the sharing practically.
For me, you carry on thinking, and sometimes you change one word and it becomes a little bit like a revelation for you, although it's the same. But maybe thinking differently, instead of thinking sharing an experience, for me it's more producing the experience together.
Okay, cool.
So I know it's simple, but for me it helps me a lot to say like, okay, I'm not sharing anything with you. We are producing experience together, because without you there is no experience, without me neither.
That's cool.
And in that way, I think we are. Then the word work appears, because if we are producing something, we are working.
Exactly.
And then this context, it's very romantic to think in that way. For me, otherwise, the share for me is not working anymore.
Like you're right. I think it's this kind of co-emergence of the experience, and of course can get even quite Buddhist or quite contemporary in how we see, the politics of knowledge production, But I think that, of course, there is something quite systemic that I see happening in this kind of context. And just to close a little bit, and because at the same time we produce a present, but this present may seed some kind of futures, right? So what do you imagine? Because I think that we are in my sense, the fact that that you are gathering with 100 people and thinking, and it's because you have hope. So, so what do you hope for? Because like we know that art is a social construction, that it depends on the context and all that stuff. That's what I say formerly known as. But there is a hope about this. We in the cultural milieu and as producers or co-producers.
Well, maybe I don't have a hope, and that's why I do what I do. To try to bring hope,
Yeah.
to the shadows.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I think lately what I'm thinking, finishing such a festival like In-presentables, which is done always with a lot of generosity, but it's big in the end. So it was always like 10, 12 days.
Yeah.
It's like a normal festival. Finishing this, I think I would go for something smaller always, but working always in small communities that can, because as an artist, I think it's very frustrated to be in a market that can decide if you are valid or not.
Yes.
If your work this year is valid or not.
Yeah.
So I prefer to think, okay, then I do my own stuff. I produce my own context.
Yeah.
But this is something that I cannot do alone anymore because it doesn't make sense neither.
Yeah.
So I think small communities that propose the context, small context, more in the micro and not in the macro, I think it makes a lot of sense now. But this should happen a lot.
Yeah.
This should not happen like once a year.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we have different contexts that are maybe one is now, the next is 2 months later, 15 days later, but this has to have a continuity.
Yeah.
And these people has to meet constantly because otherwise we are traveling so much and we do a little bit of here and then we say goodbye. Blah, 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 and this is not working.
But the main question is like, what kind of ecology, just to put a huge word that I think is very important to understand, that it's a relational phenomena. Are we creating, or can be created, that at least can keep existing, or us existing, that there is not, and cohabit with the market economy, but at the same time not be totally symbiotic or nor parasitic. I don't know what kind of relationship can we establish to this thing that is already within a market system.
Well, I'm not taking time to study markets so well. Expertise that can talk very well about this. I'm not neither a theoretician. I work a lot with intuition. Maybe it's a problem, but trying to bring down the intuition to earth and rationalize it. But it's always like, it's a lot about how you think, how you feel also.
Okay.
Although these two words are tricky. But it's important. In the end, it's like, I think my intuition is telling me that this is not working. And then I start to see how. So I think we don't have to depend of the market as market proposes it itself. But we have to propose to the market alternative constantly. And if we are kind of aware of this, like not sleeping too much, not thinking, okay, I do a project in 2 years, although sometimes it's very nice to do projects in 2 years because these projects are really deep in the end, no?
Yeah.
But if we are kind of, that's why I say that as an individual, this would be very tiring.
Yeah.
But as a community, small communities that think together, we can say, okay, this year, this is very important, let's do it. And then you do also other stuff because as an artist, market also pushes you to don't think context-wise and push you to produce pieces. And push you to produce pieces of 1 hour.
Yes.
So it's very weird.
No?
This is the only thing a choreographer can do. No? So that's why I think it's very important to open minds. Like, you can do whatever you want to do. And we together can do what we think we have to do. Well, there's a lot of talking, but
but I think
can be practical.
But we cannot escape. I think of trying to understand the layers of the sophistication that is necessary right now, I think, or that culturally had been acquired to understand how complex the systems can be. So. Well, thank you very much, and I think that let's make a deal, because I won't be able to be there. I'm gonna try to find some of the students or someone from there to do some images, but if we can talk after, I'm interested in to see after the festival, to have another conversation, to see if we can, or even we can invite someone else, or just to share, to help to share this experience and to give it hopefully more continuity, taking advantage of the technology as another space. Yeah.
No, let's do it. Let's do it. I think I arrived to Berlin on the 2nd of July.
Okay.
Because I have to work in the new project.
Yeah.
And I will be there like 2 months.
Okay.
In a row.
Perfect.
So we can meet whenever you have time.
Yeah, perfect.
And then we do it, of course.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And I think I didn't forget anything. A tagline, a little thing was about the other festival. If you can describe it a little bit, because I thought that it was also a format. The living room is.
Living room festival.
Yeah. What is it? Just quickly.
Well, this is like a very small scale festival, which happens in a living room of a private apartment.
That's great.
Of people. For example, in Madrid, each activity we do it in one apartment. And some people want to, each edition, some audiences propose their houses to do it next year. So this is the rhythm we do. But for example, we do in different cities. Each year, one more city adds to the festival. So the beginning was Berlin, Madrid, and in Berlin there is always one apartment.
Yeah.
It's the Jefta and Fred who opened their apartment to do all the activities.
Great.
So it's different than Madrid. And last year was Brussels and Zagreb. And next year we have to see, because always also Amsterdam want to join. So let's see.
But it's always 2, or it can be more?
No, it can be more.
Okay.
It's local. It's about the people that are right now, or in that moment, that are in the city, which means that there is no money, and the audience doesn't pay, only the drinks, and we don't get paid. So everything is for free, and everything is, which is also tricky in relation to market.
Yeah.
But it's really an initiative of doing whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do.
Yeah.
So and also in this small scale, that is very achievable. That you can really, it's graspable. And also the relation with the spectators is really spontaneous and it's immediate. It's like finish the activity and then you are talking immediately with no this expectation or not this responsibility of being a spectator of a theater. That has to do it has to be an expertise. Yeah,
it also it's kind of going back to, or going to certain basics or basis of what is this for, this co-creation or being in experience, And
also being a performing artist is interesting to see that, okay, in a living room you are not going to make a theater piece or a dance piece. Maybe something small, but in a way you have to change your mind and produce something different. And for me, this is very interesting to change our habits, in terms of methodology and the goal. The goal is something else.
Cool. Well, it's really nice to finish with this, because it's kind of this, how I can see that there is your own experimentation also in this kind of format to see what is that question of community or encounter or home, or the eternal question of life and art, and that is that for all doesn't mean that it's not valid.
No.
Yeah, I think it's
proposing one possible line.
Yeah.
Of producing knowledge and experience. So there are many.
There are many. All right. Well, thank you very much, and hope to like the best with this 100 choreographers of artists and dancers, and good luck with everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you.